giving you useful and practical tips to help you make more money selling travel. This is the Art of Selling Travel Podcast, and here to guide you through it all, your host, Glenda Beagle.
Welcome back for another episode. So this one's a little different than what some of the other ones in the past have been. And the reason for that is that we aired this one in our Facebook group. Now, not this exact audio, but it was a conversation that we had inside of the Facebook group. If you're not already a member of the Facebook group, you're going to want to get in there because these are the sorts of conversations that we do have inside of there. And it was one that got a lot of attention. I pay attention to how many people respond to going, when we create the events inside the Facebook group to know, we list the topic and then we create an event and then it's based on how many tag as going or interested. That's how we see, that one caught attention because we've put out some and I'm like, hello, is this thing on? Because it feels like nobody responded. And then we can have other ones where hundreds are like, I'm going to that one. So in which case we're like, that one struck a chord. But I also have to say shout out to Selena because she said, I'm in Epcot this morning, but I wasn't missing this one. It was so important. And so that led me to believe this is probably important for a lot of advisors. And actually, it's not even that it led me to believe. I know how important this one is for travel advisors. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that are zapping away the time in your travel business and what you can do to overcome that. So we've got the typical. We've got the doom scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or wherever it is. You would be shocked how much time you're actually spending doing that. And I get it. Maybe you start off that you're like, well, I'm doing research or I'm going to comment on so many of my followers' posts or whatever the case might be. But I'm going to really encourage you, pick an amount of time that you're going to dedicate towards doing that and just lock it in. If you want to endlessly doom scroll, do it at night when you are on quote unquote off time or whenever your off time is. But if you're doing it during your business hours or thinking that it's business work, this is one of those things that's going to take you from being profitable and productive into just being busy. And I don't know about you, but I don't have time in my life to just be busy without results. And so it's so important that I made that shift. I actually, some nights, I admit it, I doom scroll. Like I'm one of those ones that scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. But then I started paying attention to what I thought was 15 minutes. And it turns out it was like 2, maybe 3 hours. I'm pretty embarrassed to admit that, but I'm also doing it so that you understand how quickly and easily that can happen. I, in 2024 here, have as much as possible tried to make sure my phone is put away by 9:00. Turn off the blue light, turn off the phone. I've heard all of these studies for years, really didn't think it was me, but it's made a huge difference in the last 4 or 5 months in terms of the amount of sleep I'm getting, the quality of sleep I'm getting, but also too, the amount of books that I'm able to read. I have never read so much as an adult as what I have in these last 4 or 5 months, and I'm loving it. So stop the doom scrolling. The other one another one that's taking a lot of time is the endless supplier training. And so I'm not here to say not to do supplier training, but I'm going to really encourage you to do the applicable supplier training. And so what that means is making sure that it's not just this endless consumption. We did a podcast not too long ago about implementation over consumption. This is another one of those things. What are you implementing that you're learning? Are you just doing this training, attending this webinar, whatever, just so that you have a bigger database of knowledge? Or are you doing it because you've had a client that's raised their hand and been really curious about something and said, I think I need to know more about that because Bill and Cindy or John and Nancy have decided that they want to know more about it. So I'm going to really drill down on that. Or are you just endlessly doing it because you don't think you know enough? I'm here to tell you that if you think that you've got to have this endless amount of supplier training so that you know enough, that's a really slippery slope, because supplier training is changing all the time. Yet at the same time, it's not. I've been to travel conferences for almost 20 years, been attending them. Some of the same presentations, or some of the presentations are pretty much the same when they were nearly 20 years ago. They just insert new ship, insert new room category, insert new coach, like motor coach specifications, whatever it is. It's the same basic thing. They're just going to keep telling you, oh, this is what's new. This is what's going on. So now let's get into, those are kind of the basics. Those are the ones that for the most part we all know. Now let's get into the ones that are a little bit stickier. Are you trying to make it perfect? Making it perfect is going to zap your time. It's going to just suck it away like a vortex. Make it disappear. Here's the scoop. If you're waiting until it's perfect, you're never putting it out. We both know that, because perfection is an illusion. But worse than that, it is a goalpost that never stays in the same spot. So you actually have the potential that goalpost is constantly going to move. I hear it from travel advisors who will tell me, yeah, I'm working on a lead magnet. I'm like, great. How long have you been working on it? Like 12, 18. I'm like, days, hours, months. They're working on it for the last 12 to 18 months. Like, let's put that into perspective. 18 months to get out their basic marketing thing, because it's not perfect, because it's not just right. Well, here's the scoop. You're not even going to know if it's something that actually connects with your clients unless and until it's out there. So what if you are waiting 12, 18, 24 months to find out? Your audience could care less about what it is that you put out. What if you've been working on this all this time and it's for a specific destination or a specific type of travel, and now the world has shifted and now you got to toss it out and start with something brand new? Staring at that blank screen gives that blank mind. There is nothing worse than a new Google Doc or a new Word doc, all white screen, blinking cursor, and for some reason, poof, every thought in my brain has vanished. We actually have somebody coming on the podcast, probably like May, June, they will air. They have a phenomenal email membership. And it basically just gives you those starting points. I can't wait to share that one with you. It's going to be fantastic. We're not going to be recording it for a while yet, but it's already in the hopper. And I'm like, yes, I can't wait until we can share that one, because it's going to be fantastic. It's about how do we get rid of that blank mind? And I'm not saying you have a blank mind. I'm just saying that mine, when I look at that screen trying to figure out what to say, instantly vanishes and goes blank. I'm the same way. Like when I try to make my social posts, and maybe I'm alone in this, and that's okay. If it's you too, go ahead, send me a DM on Instagram and just say, I get you. Been there, done that. Art of Selling Travel on Instagram. And just let me know I'm not the only one. But I have this great idea. I go to my computer, pull up Canva, I go to do it, and I'm like, wait, I don't know what that looks like anymore. I don't know what I'm supposed to put. Or worse yet, I can at least get the graphic made, and then it's like, what do I put? I have no idea what to put. Oh my goodness. What do I put? Well, that sounds dumb. Can't put that. Well, that's just not going to work. Oh, no, no, no. Forget it. The graphic's not that good. Never mind. I won't post. That ever been a way you felt? Because it's sure the heck the way I feel from time to time. Redundancies. Redundancies in your process. Actually, let's skip that one. We'll come back to it. Not having a process, not having an actual sales process is going to cost you so much time because you don't have something to follow. If I asked you to bake chocolate chip cookies and you don't have a recipe to follow, could you figure it out? Yeah, definitely. I 1000% have faith in you that you can figure it out without a recipe, without access to a recipe. But will you get there? When will you get there? Having a sales process is like having the recipe, the perfect recipe that turns out every time. Well, except for that time that you thought it was baking powder, but it was actually cornstarch and it couldn't figure it out. Like, yeah, I don't know why up here they switched the baking powder and the cornstarch to be in almost identical containers in opposite colors. True story. I may have tried to make gravy with baking powder, could not figure out why it started fizzing. And then I threw it out because clearly it was broken. And then I realized it was a brand new thing of baking powder and it was not cornstarch that I was using to make my gravy. That was not good gravy. But aside from that, a sales process is that recipe that you can follow that takes you through step by step and lets you know how long each thing should take, lets you know how big the cookie ball should be, lets you know how long it needs to bake for each one of those things, lets you know how much eggs, how much flour, how much butter, how much everything that needs to go in there. It also lets you know that if you want to jazz it up, throw a little cinnamon in your recipe because it'll give you something a little bit, just a little bit of a zing to it. Trust me, try it. Throw a little vanilla instant pudding mix in there. It's amazing what it does. So you can have a core recipe, which is your core sales process, but then you can make a couple of little tweaks here and there. It is so much easier to start with that core recipe than it is just to like randomly try and figure it out, stand at the pantry and go, I don't know what's supposed to go in there. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Never mind. We're not going to do chocolate chip cookies. Let's go buy something off the shelf in the store. Having a crystal clear sales process is going to not only simplify the process for you, but also speed it up. Now let's go back to redundancies. So much talk this last year or two has been on the forms. Automation, tons and tons of automation. Now we've just done a podcast with a fabulous Erin, and she talked about the fact that not all automation is equal and that sometimes it's just a matter of having those processes in place. Get it? Processes, things that you follow so that you're not having to rethink of everything on the go, but that it's not necessarily automatic, like everything's automatically going out. But here's the scoop with a form. When you have a defined sales process, you will be doing consultations. We're going to get to that in a minute too, how much time those save you, not add to your schedule, save you. But you're going to be doing consultations. And in those consultations, if you've put too many things on the form, you're creating redundancies because you have to ask them those exact same questions. One, because you actually need to hear how they answer those. You also need to make sure that they didn't change their mind or accidentally put in the wrong thing. If they checked a box, but they actually meant to check a different box, we want to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information. And nothing will ever beat the conversion ability of a conversation. Conversations are the pure gold in the sales process. If you've got all these forms and your people have to fill it out, first off, we've already eliminated a bunch of them. Second off, if you are not instantly responding, why should they be filling out your form rather than just filling out an OTA's form? But then you're going to make them repeat it. And now suddenly, we're not only being redundant for ourselves, we're being redundant for our clients. There is nothing that drives me more crazy than when you got to go to the doctor and you got to fill out the check, like when you get to the clinic, you got to fill out a form. Then you got to go through that form with the nurse. Then you got to go through that form with the doctor. I got to be honest, by the time I get to the doctor, I'm like, I don't even remember what I put on the form. You're the one with the form. I don't remember anymore. What's on there? You tell me. Your clients don't want to have to repeat what they already did because now you're wasting their time too. A huge time suck is skipping the consultation. Yep, I said it. When you skip a consultation, you are going to suck back more time than almost anything else in the process. Now, you might be listening to me right now and thinking, excuse me? I skipped it. I saved myself 10, 15, 20 minutes. No, you cost yourself dozens of interruptions, dozens of emails back and forth and back and forth. And then that's when we see inside the Facebook groups, okay, so my clients have a $5,000 budget. They want a 6-star resort. They want it for 9 people and they want it in these dates and it has to have the best beach and the best food. What do I offer them? Well, which one are they willing to give up? What does best beach mean to them? What does best food? Wait, what? They want how many people? No, you got to go back and forth. And then you're going to send them emails and it's going to go back and forth and 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 back and forth. And every time you send that email back and forth, you are interrupting your client and you're interrupting the flow of your day. Your clients are working with you to simplify the process. Have a conversation with your client. Simplify the process. Get all the answers or 99% of the answers in that conversation so that you know where that point of compromise is, so that you know what best means to them. We don't want to go into this with our own biases because what means best to me does not mean best to you. What means best to me doesn't mean best to that person. Or what means best to you may not have any resemblance to what means best to me. When you have those missed questions, you don't know what that point in compromise is. You don't know what they're willing to increase, take away. Which one is their motivating factor? What is it that's going to motivate them to want to buy? When you end up having to go back and forth after you send the proposal because now they want this and now you sent them that and now they want 11 new options and you are 10 different options into it, I can almost all but guarantee there was no consultation or it wasn't a good one. Or you don't know how to overcome the objections. This is all part of the premise of what we do in Curious to Booked, the signature sales program. This is all of the elements that we break apart and dive into to help you to be able to speed up in your business. There's a saying, you got to slow down to speed up. You got to slow down to do that consultation so that you can speed up and have a far more effective sales conversion, a far more effective sales process so that your clients can enjoy the journey of buying their vacation rather than feeling pushed like a sleazy car salesman, rather than feeling like, well, I don't even know if they understand what I want. I don't even know if this is the right choice. I don't know. And therefore they stay as an indecisive client. You can't move. Do you want to just go back and forth, or would you rather shorten your sales cycle? Would you rather get that close rate up and get it so that they say yes faster? Again, not knowing how to overcome the objections. Accepting a no is a no. A no is never a no. A no is always something else. It might be a not right now. It might be not a good fit. Okay, great. Let's figure out what the fit is. Actually, as we're talking about this, let's talk about going and buying a pair of jeans. For those that enjoy trying on clothes, is it the first pair of jeans that you buy? Probably not. Okay, maybe for the men. I think of my one son. He has a specific type of Wranglers. So Wranglers are the brand. It's a specific type. I can't remember off the top of my head. He knows his size, he knows his inseam, and that's that. And he will go in and he will be, do you have Wrangler, blah, 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 cut, blah, 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 blah. And they will say, yes, we have 3 pairs in stock. He says, great, I'll take them all. And then he will go back to the store next time he needs jeans and he will buy all that they have of that. And he does not try on any other pair of jeans because he knows that's his fit. He knows that that's what he's doing. Now, for the rest of us who are not in the Wrangler world, who have a little variety and spice, do you buy the only pair you try on? You know what? It might happen once in a while that you try it on. It's like, man, that fit perfect. But I'm going to bet you probably spun around, maybe hiked up your hip, had a look at your butt, and decided, I don't think so. Maybe this one has the really big gape at the back of your lower back. Okay, what is up with that? What is up with jeans with really big gaps at the lower back? Okay, focused. But do you try on one pair? Or do you keep trying on until you get to the right one? You said no for that one. Why? Is it because you didn't want to buy jeans? No, it's because something wasn't the right fit. What was it? A quality store clerk will ask you, okay, great. So how did those fit? Okay, let's have a look at this. What can we do? Oh, it's got the gape. You know what? I've got a different cut that comes in a little bit at the back of the waist. Let's try that one. Okay, so we got that. Okay, but we're not quite long enough. Let's try this. Let's try that. Perfect. Now we've put all the pieces together and we've got it. And yet the first thing was, nope, not going to work. For some reason, travel advisors leave it as, no, it's not going to work. Why do we do that? Seriously, why do we do that? We've got the other struggle is they dive into that first objection, which almost always is, no, it's just too much. Okay, so that'll be a no then. I legit have worked with travel advisors in my own office that when a client said, no, that's too much, and they said, oh, okay, so then that'll be a no, like you're not going to go. And they're like, I guess not. I cringe when I think of those moments. And I know that those advisors, there's one that, that would get so mad when I would jump in and be like, oh, actually, let's talk about this. Let's do that. And then they would, after the client would leave, they're like, you just you took, I'm like, no, your client was standing up because you told them, oh, so I guess it's a no. They're like, well, they said they couldn't afford it. I said, no. What they said is they didn't understand the value. The words they used were, that's too much. They go, I don't agree with you. I said, yes. But when your clients were done, they spent more than what they said they couldn't afford because they didn't recognize the value. When we do just a surface level objection and accept it as that, we get surface level results. I don't know about you, but my goal is always to go deep, to make sure that the clients have the very best possible experiences. And 9 times out of 10, that is going to start with a no. If you're not attracting the right clients to begin with, that's going to suck back a lot of time. And by wrong client, not the right clients, I'm going to say it's going to be clients who are probably driven by price, because when we look at that blank cursor or that blank screen and trying to decide, what do I market? What do I put out there? What do I say? The default ends up becoming price. I'll just put up something cheap. I'll put up something that gets me a bunch of clicks. Look at that travel agent. They got like 500 comments. They must be doing gangbusters. Well, let's look through what it is. And they have people who are just asking that the majority of them are never going to book it. Are they going to get a few? Sure. Are they going to be working with people who are just there to chase the bottom dollar, to chase the cheapest price and not actually see them as a professional? 1000%. Those are also going to be the clients that micromanage the bonkers out of you. They are going to micromanage everything. Nope, I think you need to do it for $7 less. I found this for $6.87 less. I'm going to need you to bring down that price. Well, you can just shave your commission, can't you? You can just do this. You can throw that in, can't you? You can do this. You can do that. No, they can't. And yet, when you compete for price, you're going to get clients who think that they are owed something because they're your client. Not having a plan when you build your travel agency is a huge time suck, because then we're constantly chasing those wild squirrels. And I tell you this one from personal experience. Chasing those wild squirrels, and I mean rabid squirrels strung out on something at a rave, going crazy. So nothing ever gets finished. Nothing ever makes it across the finish line. You start this project. Sounds like a lead magnet that got started and never finished. And then this lead magnet got started and never finished. And then that got started and never finished. And then I started putting this together, and then I started putting that together, and then I started putting this and this and this and this. When you don't have a plan, there's a really good chance you don't have boundaries. You don't have the systems in place to say, no, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to respond to you at 3 a.m. I actually was recently at a women in business luncheon, and a hairdresser was telling us that they have people who send the messages at 2:30 in the morning of a Pinterest image asking how much it would be to get that hairstyle done. I did a lot of blinking. It took me a while to pull my mouth shut, pull my mouth closed again, to be like, wait, what? It's not just our industry where people don't understand boundaries. We are in an entirely different world of people not understanding boundaries. And so we need to make sure that when we're setting up our plan, we're setting our boundaries. It also comes to when we are bringing in clients. So now we've got this influx of clients. It's coming in, it's coming in, it's coming in, it's coming in. Oh my goodness, I have so much to get out right now. And maybe you're on the other side of this listening right now thinking, well, I can't wait till that happens one day. That's one of my coaches says, new level, new devil every time. So we may go from, well, I'm just going to take anybody and everybody at whatever hour so that I can just get a file. And now we've got lots of inquiries. They're coming in at all hours. We're starting to feel burnt out, run down. What does that do? It makes us unproductive, which adds to more of that busy work. Communicate with your clients. Share if there's going to be a delay in getting back their proposal. Have those conversations. Let them know. There is nothing that will drive business like saying you only have room to do 2 more consultations this week. Because people want to do business with busy people, because it makes them think that they're working with a professional. But that is busy in terms of the perception people have of professionals, not the busy as in a badge of honor. People want to do business with people that they believe understand what's happening, understand what the needs are, understand what the profession is. Not just people who are doom scrolling endlessly and therefore they put in 40 hours a week in their business and don't have anything to show for it. If you're going to be traveling, what is your plan? What is your plan to make sure your clients are still served while you are traveling? We work in an industry, it's a fabulous industry with some amazing perks that go with it. And that includes being able to travel to some of the most spectacular destinations around the globe. But it also means that we have to have a plan in place so that our clients still can be served. Our clients can still get what they need from us. What is that plan? What are you going to do to look after your clients while you're traveling? Well, we got to figure out, what kind of traveling are you doing? Are you doing for business? Are you working while you're gone? In which case, are you going to be doing reduced hours? Are you going to be tweaking when it is? Or are you just, adios, I'm out the door. You're on your own for 2 weeks till I get back. You've got to have a plan in place, whether that's a partner, a colleague, something else, somebody else that's going to check in on them, or set reduced hours in which you will be available to service them. They need to know when they can expect to hear from you. Something as simple as, I am working reduced hours as I am traveling this week. Please allow up to 48 hours. If it is an emergency, please send an email with emergency or something in the subject line, or whatever it is that you're going to be using as your mode of contact. But so often we don't have a plan. We don't know how to set boundaries. I think we're probably going to have to do another podcast just all on what it means to set a boundary. But share those delays with your clients. If something's come up and you're not able to turn out the proposal in the promised 48 or 72 hours, or whatever it is, obviously I understand when you're working with some DMCs or whatever it is across in another country, you might be at a 1 or 2 week turnaround. Communicate that with your clients, set the expectations. And if you're not able to execute within that time, keep them up to date. Never worry about over communicating with your clients when we're talking about delays. Keep them informed, because otherwise then they're going to start reaching out to you, or they're just going to think, well, I didn't even hear from them, so I'm out. I'm going to go find somebody else. And now you've done all this work for nothing, because they went somewhere else. Communicating with your clients helps to keep them in the circle with you, helps to keep them along the process, and also keeps them from getting a wandering eye. Okay, I would love to hear from you. What are some of your biggest time zappers? Go ahead, join us in the Facebook group. We're going to have some more conversations about that, or simply send me a DM on Instagram, either or. If you're interested in Curious to Book, our signature sales program, check it out, artofsellingtravel.com/curious. The doors are open as of recording, but they will be closing very shortly. And once they do, we will pop up a wait list for you there. But you don't want to miss out, because the way that you can use a sales process to simplify your business, to speed up your turnarounds, and to reduce the excess busy work for your travel business will pay dividends for years to come. Until next time, happy selling.